I just want you to know that if you're feeling lonely, you're not alone. Just hang in there because loneliness is temporary and it can and will get better. Hey y'all, welcome to Mack the Maverick, where we talk all things well-rounded womanhood, like friendships and relationships. So if you're new here, thanks so much for stopping by. If you're not new here, thanks so much for coming back because it means a whole lot. So it's been a while since I did a so-called black girl vlog where I picked a video or a topic from the internet to react to. And I'll be quite honest, lately the news cycle on like Instagram and Twitter and stuff has been the whole Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef, which I'm not old, but I'm old. Like, I know who these people are and I might know a few of their songs, but I'm not really invested in the beef enough to respond to it. So I decided to take a different approach today and tread the waters of Reddit to see what people were kind of dealing with. And I've seen a lot of recurring themes about adulting, about friendships, and in particular, what spoke to me was a couple posts, threads that I saw about people struggling with loneliness. So what I'm gonna do, we're gonna do an Ask Mack style, response to a couple of Reddit posts that I saw. I'm gonna put them up on the screen and I'm gonna anonymize them the best that I can. I'm not gonna tell you exactly what thread they came from, and I'm definitely not gonna tell you who posted it, just in case. I want to respect people's privacy, but I'm going to dive into it and give you all my thoughts, talk a little bit about my own experience with the process, with that problem, that issue, because I feel like a lot of you all might identify and see yourself in it too. So y'all, please feel free. If you have any words of encouragement or you're going through something and you need some words of encouragement, please drop down in the comments below and let us know so we can hype you up. That's what we're here for over here on Mack the Maverick. So without further ado, the first one I have here is entitled "Some Advice and Encouragement Needed on Friendships in Our 20s." Phew, child. So first of all, if you're in your 20s, hang in there. People say the teen years are hard. People say the tween years are hard. The 20s come with a whole nother set of challenges, and my heart goes out to you because I'm not that far removed and I remember what it was like. So, hi everyone. I've been reflecting on something that's been a recurring theme throughout my life, but has become more pronounced in my late 20s. I've always yearned for a close-knit group of girlfriends, yet it seems that whenever I'm on the verge of forming such bonds, something arises that turns the situation toxic. For instance, in my last friend group, 2 girls became upset because I wasn't friends with someone they were cool with who had bullied me in the past. Prior to that, another friend group began talking about me behind my back, and one of the girls confessed that my success at the time made it difficult for her to relate to me. I have achieved significant career milestones in my 20s, and at times I felt that this has contributed to tensions within these groups. I've made an effort not to boast about my accomplishments, but it seems that hasn't made things better. I've always tried to understand how my actions might exacerbate these group dynamics. I have a tendency to withdraw during conflicts and can come across as overly direct, both of which can understandably put people off. I'm actively working on these aspects of myself. Despite my efforts, I still feel like I'm falling short. Recently, a close friend of mine announced her engagement, and I couldn't help but hope that our long-standing friendship and my efforts to maintain contact would result in me being asked to be a bridesmaid. However, I learned that wasn't the case. While I'm completely okay with it, I couldn't shake the thought. Do I have any women friends in my life right now who would consider me as someone they want standing by their side on their big day? I'd love some advice and encouragement from people who have insights on friendships at this stage of life, especially with respect to navigating career success. Thanks so much for listening. Oh man, there's a lot to unpack there. Friendships in your 20s are hard to navigate. I'm sorry for whoever this is. I don't know if you'll ever see this video, but I'm sorry that you're having to go through these growing pains. Part of the issue with being in your 20s is that everybody is really just still trying to figure stuff out. And spoiler alert, people are trying to figure stuff out really for the rest of their lives. But in your 20s, you really have the least, I think, grasp in your adult life that you will have on who you are and possibly the direction that you're going. And also, you're going through a lot of drastic changes. People are leaving home for the first time or not. People are getting education, they're changing their careers, people are getting married, people are having babies. And your life, unlike in your teenage years where everybody was going to school, doing extracurricular activities, they might have a little part-time job or whatever, most people's lives look the same. This is the time of life where people's state of being begins to look totally different. Folks start to really carve out their own paths. And unfortunately, everybody can't go with you. I always liken friendships and relationships to leaves on trees. If you notice, most trees are seasonal. Some are evergreen, but most of them are seasonal. So you will see a tree be bare in the winter, and then you will see that tree grow new leaves, and then you'll see those leaves fall off. And it's a necessary process to encourage new growth on that tree. I'm sitting here looking at the plants behind me, and at some point I had to begin to prune those trees, lop whole parts of them off, pull off the leaves that were dead so that new ones could grow back on. And as much as it's difficult sometimes to move on from close-knit relationships, sometimes the direction that you're going in your life is going to necessitate letting some of those things go, accepting that those leaves are dead in your life and allowing the new ones to grow back on. Now remember, going back to that tree that was bare, might mean having a season where your tree of friends is kind of empty or kind of skimpy. And that's a lonely season to be in. But again, nothing stays the same. That's temporary. And eventually, as you keep walking in the direction of your purpose and staying in the will of God, you're going to have new, fresh leaves that grow back on that tree. Now, on the flip side of that, you will eventually have some people in your life that'll be evergreen. Those people are usually rare, few, and far between, but you don't need a lot of them. You just need one or two good ones. So be encouraged to just kind of accept and embrace the change, knowing that it's temporary. Also, you mentioned that you'd achieved a bunch of significant career milestones. That tends to happen as you get older. And again, everyone's life starts to look different. I say it's a good thing not to be braggadocious or arrogant or condescending or any of those things. But if you have friends that force you to pretty much suppress everything that's good happening to you, you don't need those friends in your life. I personally, if I got a friend who something good has happened to them, I want to hear about it and I want to celebrate that with them, and I want to look at that as hope that things can get better for me. Might I feel a twinge sad for a second if I'm going through something? Sure, I'm human, but I'm never gonna make you be quiet about the blessings that are happening to you. That's crazy. That's a point of maturity that a lot of your friends in your 20s might not have gotten to, but trust, they're out there.
By the way, if you haven't already, try to mix in some older friends into your group. Yeah, people are human beings and they're gonna do what they do, but sometimes your older friends will be a little more mature, a little further along in life, and they have a lot to offer, having been where you've been before. So yeah, try a couple of more seasoned ladies in your circle. It's kind of lit.
And you don't have to put up with that. Keep being you. Keep that level of humility that you're trying to display and sensitivity, but don't dim your light because it makes your friends feel bad. There's a difference between the two. So yeah, I think that's mainly what I have to say about that. You guys, if you have some advice or thoughts on this particular letter, do drop that down in the comments. So the other one that I want to respond to is entitled Handling Loneliness. How do you handle loneliness? If I'm not working, then I spend 90% of my time alone. I don't like too many people, especially not enough to spend my time with them. I had two good friends, one being my ex, I would talk to every day, and one friend I would hang out with frequently. But unfortunately, I'm not friends with them anymore, so now I'm really by myself, and it's hard to actually like people without feeling like I'm forcing it. I'm tickled because I feel like I could have written this letter. So, story time. My very, very best friend of 20 years now, 20 plus years, that friendship has been long distance almost since day one. We met when we were 15. I think we were 15 when we met. And then like the next year and a half, I went off to college. I moved away and then she moved away. And so we've never lived closer than like 500 miles from each other. And that's hard because she's my person. And there's, yeah, she's my person. So when I moved here to Nashville with my fiance at the time. And we were supposed to be getting married and trying to establish our life. And then we broke that engagement. Now, I'm from Jackson, Mississippi. So that left me in a city where I didn't have any family. And yeah, home was 500 miles away. So, like this person, when I wasn't working, I was spending 90% of my time alone. And yes, I'm a textbook introvert. I love people, like I love people in here, but at the same time, I value my alone time and the ability to recharge. But when you're in a situation, when you are in a brand new city with no one, you start to notice things like, when was the last time someone hugged me? When was the last time I shared a meal with somebody? Or every blue moon, you'll want to go to a function or something that works better when you have more than one person and you realize you don't have another person to do that with. And you kind of get lonely. And then you know that there's another person in that town that you know, but you can't connect with them because of the situation. And that kind of amplifies your loneliness. So I definitely understand how that felt. And it did depress me at times until I was able to kind of build my community. So to this person, I would say, I get it. I do know exactly what you're feeling, but this is kind of an ideal time to really explore your own interest, to really take that time and do a little self-discovery. Like, for instance, if you don't have hobbies, try some new things. For me, I never danced in my life, but I had a coworker who loved to dance, and she started a line dancing class at a local community center. And it was perfect because my commute was like an hour and a half in traffic, so it gave me something to do to kill the time while the traffic died down, and a way to get moving, which is great for your mental health. And just try something new. At the time I was singing a little bit, so that helped me to kind of work on my stage presence and things like that. But anyway, I say that to say that community became very, very tight knit, and my dance buddies became my closest friends that I had in town. We would spend a whole lot of time together. We would be there for each other when difficult things came along. I had people that I could call if I was in trouble, which is a huge relief. Again, when you're somewhere by yourself and you don't have family near, that's a scary proposition to think of. But because I kind of stepped out of my comfort zone and tried something new, it added on basically my found family here in Nashville. And shout out to you all if anybody's watching, the East Park crew, I love you all. But yes, explore some new hobbies, join a class. You seem to like to hang out and do things. Hang out and do things. Go see that movie by yourself. Go eat that dinner by yourself. Go to that festival. But when you go these places, don't be afraid to strike up a conversation. I don't know where this person lives, but down here in the South, you can pretty much make small talk with anybody. Practice finding things in common, even if it's for a brief second. Maybe you don't exchange numbers because you're not trying to do all of that. But having that interaction with a stranger that, hey, how are you doing? Or, man, what do you think about XYZ moment? Or that observation can temporarily brighten your mood, and you have no idea who you might be blessing that's in the same position as you, that maybe that person just wants to be seen. Maybe somebody out there just needs to remember that somebody noticed them and treated them like a human being. Like, y'all have heard my motto personally, that I want everybody who enters my presence to leave my presence knowing that they matter. It doesn't always take a 4-hour phone call or an all-day expedition somewhere. Sometimes it's as simple as saying hello to that person in the grocery store so that they can feel like they had a friend for 5 minutes. So try that. It may not solve the entire problem permanently, immediately, but it sure does make the time pass faster. Also, if you do have a support system elsewhere, like in my case, my family, my best friend, stay connected to them as much as possible. No, they cannot be there with you all the time, but sometimes a text helps. Sometimes hearing a familiar voice helps. So definitely don't forsake the people you already know that aren't there right with you for the people elsewhere that you still know and love. Also, last thing, I think you mentioned that you do work. I don't know what your work environment is like. I know that people discourage you from making friends with coworkers or getting too close to them. But if you have good coworkers that are trustworthy, that you have things in common with, especially if they work in a different department as you, it's okay to spend time with them. You don't have to necessarily, again, get super, super close, but if there is an outing or karaoke or after work dinner, go. It's okay to do that, and you just never know what those friendships will yield, what those connections will yield, even if it's temporary and those trees die and fall off at some point. You will have had them for the time being. So that being said, y'all, that was my 22 cents on these two Reddit cases. Again, if you are lonely, if you're going through it, it's something that most people will encounter at some point in their lifetime, whether they're really by themselves physically or whether they are alone and surrounded by people, or surrounded by people and feeling alone. So it's not just you. That happens to most people, but it is temporary. It will get better. Hang in there and don't give up. Please don't give up. So y'all, let me know you all's thoughts down in the comments. If you've got an encouraging word, drop that down below. I'd love to hear it. And if you didn't already know, mackthemaverick.com is my blog. And almost every YouTube video I do, there is a blog post that accompanies it, or vice versa. So if you like to read, if you like inspiration coming straight to you via your inbox, you can go over to mackthemaverick.com at any time and check out my blog post. You can sign up for my newsletter to get them sent directly to you, but there will be a blog post for this video, especially if you're a person that wants more of the word and scripture to accompany this topic. I'm going to be putting something together over there for that. So I'll drop links in the description bar for you all to check that out. But yeah, if you like this video, like the video. If you are not subscribed, I invite you to subscribe and turn your notification bell on so that you won't miss a thing over here at Mack the Maverick. So y'all, I love all of you. Be encouraged, and as always, do what you love what you do, and remember that you're not alone, because we're here for you. And we will see you all on the next one. Bye-bye.